Nikolai Valentinov, published January the 19th, 2018. Further information can be found at the end of this recording. Nikolai Valentinov, 1879–1964, was a Russian socialist, journalist, philosopher and economist, a member of the Russian Social Democratic Workers' Party, RSDRP. He was an exponent of empirio-criticism. He was also known as Nikolai Valentinov-Volsky and, later, as E. Yurovsky. Part 1. Biography. Part 1. Biography. Chapter 1. Early years. Nikolai Vladislavovich Volsky was born in Morshinsk, in the Tambov Governorate of the Russian Empire, in 1879. His family was of Lithuanian origin. As a student at the St. Petersburg Technological Institute, Volsky became involved in the revolutionary movement. At first he sympathized with the Narodniki populists and became affiliated with some of the early socialist revolutionary circles. Later he discovered Marxism and became involved in the Social Democratic Party. In 1898, Volsky was arrested and banished to Ufa. In 1900, after his release, he moved to Kiev, where he attended the Polytechnic and resumed his revolutionary activities. He also met his future wife Valentina there. In her honor he came to use the pseudonym Nikolai Valentinov. During these years, Valentinov-Volsky undertook a thorough study of Marxism, reading Karl Marx' magnum opus Capital and writings by Georgy Plekhanov and V.I. Lenin. He also took an interest in contemporary philosophy of science, especially in the empirio-criticism and empirio-monist theories of Ernst Mach and Richard Avenarius. Part 1. Biography. Chapter 2. Bolshevik activist. Valentinov played an active part in the student revolutionary movement and was arrested several times. In 1902, he received a serious head wound, which almost killed him, during a demonstration. In 1903, after his release from yet another term of imprisonment, he went into exile to Switzerland. In Geneva, he associated with Lenin. Under Lenin's influence, Valentinov joined the Bolshevik wing of the Russian Social Democratic Workers' Party, RSDRP. After the party's split at its second Congress in 1903, Valentinov later recounted his time with Lenin in his 1953 book entitled My Encounters with Lenin. Valentinov had been attracted to Lenin because of the latter's pamphlet, What is to be Done, 1902, whose vision of a conspiratorial vanguard party appealed to the former sympathizer of Narodnaya Volya. However, Valentinov soon came into conflict with Lenin, particularly with respect to philosophical issues. Valentinov tried to combine Marxism with the empirio-criticism philosophy of Mach and Avenarius. He was not unique in this. Marxism was a popular current in the Russian, German and Austrian socialist movements of the period. The Russian Bolsheviks Alexander Bogdanov and Anatoly Lunacharsky, the socialist revolutionaries Viktor Chernov and Nikolai Avksentiev, and the Austro-Marxist Friedrich Adler were strongly influenced by empirio-criticism. Valentinov acclaimed Lenin was both so much an orthodox Marxist as a materialist influenced by Nikolai Chernyshevsky. This, Valentinov maintained, was behind Lenin's utter rejection empirio-criticism as a form of subjective idealism. Valentinov objected to this critique, since in his view empirio-criticism was designed to overcome the metaphysical dichotomy of idealism and realism. For Lenin, the dispute had not merely philosophical but political implications. Empirio-criticism was a form of petty bourgeois ideology that not only threatened the philosophical purity of Marxism but would also, in time, reveal its objectively counter-revolutionary political consequences. Valentinov considered Lenin's position dogmatic, unscientific and based on an inadequate understanding of philosophy. Relations soon deteriorated. In 1905, Valentinov returned illegally to Russia and defected to the Menshevik faction of the RSDRP. Valentinov had laid out his philosophy in the book Uch.Mat and Marxism. 1907. Lenin wrote a long polemic, Marxism and Empirio-Criticism. 1908. Against what he considered the baleful influence of Empirio-Criticism on the revolutionary movement. Valentinov, along with Bogdanov and Lunarsky, was one of his targets. Valentinov countered with the book The Philosophical Conceptions of Marxism. 1908. In this work he rejected the charge of idealism and, in his various philosophical writings, went out of his way to criticize former Marxists like Sergei Bulgakov and Petr Struve, who had embraced idealist philosophies. Part 1, Biography. Chapter 3, Post-Bolshevik Activities. During the abortive revolution of 1905, Valentinov worked for the Ukrainian Menshevik Party in various capacities but played a minor role in the political events of the day. He concentrated primarily on journalism, contributing to such papers as Rusko Slovo, Russian Word, and Kyivskaya Misl, where Leon Trotsky was one of his colleagues. Valentinov published his articles under various pseudonyms. He adopted a moderate internationalist position during the First World War. He welcomed the revolution of 1917 but gradually grew disillusioned with Kerensky's provisional government and the Menshevik/SR leaders of the Soviets. After the October Revolution, Valentinov left the Menshevik Party. He was appointed as a non-party specialist to the Supreme Economic Council of Soviet Russia, Vesunkha, and was one of the architects of the new economic policy, NEP. After the Russian Civil War, he also founded the journal Torgovo-Promyshlennaya Gazeta, Commercial Industrial Gazette. During those years he collaborated closely with Nikolai Bukharin. After Lenin's death in 1924, Valentinov found his position in Soviet Russia increasingly precarious. He watched the rise of Joseph Stalin with alarm and firmly opposed moves to abandon the NEP in favor of a program of rapid industrialization and collectivization of agriculture. As one of the most ardent defenders of the NEP, Valentinov felt that his life was in danger when Stalin decided definitively to abandon the NEP. In 1928, he fled from the Soviet Union and settled in Paris. He contributed to various émigré journals, now generally using the pseudonym E. Yurovsky, and reconnected with the Menshevik exiles. Valentinov survived the Second World War in Paris. After the war he was associated with various Cold War organizations, such as the Committee for the Liberation of the Peoples of Russia, and corresponded with Menshevik veterans like Raphael Abramovich. Valentinov was frequently consulted by scholars. For example, Leopold Heimsen, on the early history of the Russian revolutionary movement and the Soviet Union. In the 1950s and 60s, Valentinov authored and edited various books on historical, philosophical, literary and economic subjects, including My Encounters with Lenin, 1953, 2 Years with the Symbolists, 1969, The Early Years of Lenin, 1969, and The New Economic Policy and the Party Crisis After the Death of Lenin, 1971. Several of these works appeared posthumously, as Nikolai Valentinov died in Paris on August 26, 1964. Special characters in this article were substituted with audio cues. They were denoted as follows: and, left and right parentheses. This recording is a derivative work from Wikipedia. For more information, to commission recordings like this, and to support the developer, please visit www.patreon.com/frogcast.